Yes, we're back this week with Steve, special guest from the Shared Podcast. It's part 3 with Steve. Today we're talking about facing fears, embracing discomfort, and the journey of recovery from rock bottom. Steve opens up about his struggles during the COVID-19 pandemic, the mental battles he faced, and how he turned pain into purpose. If you've ever felt lost or uncertain, this one's for you. Let's check right back in with Steve, part 3. If you've missed it, go back 1 and 2. It's already here on the playlist. And part 4 comes tomorrow. But if it's weeks or years later, the playlist is already there for you. Go for it. Small little chunks just for you guys.
When you're in those points and you've got the brain fog and everything like that, and you don't actually know what's going on, it's very hard to communicate it. So, one of the key things for me over a number of years as I started to learn and I started to unlock and I started to discover that it was burnout and what I was going through was actually, although it did damage to relationships, it did damage, and kind of unsettled the family home, over time I was able to start to communicate that a little bit more. But you mentioned something earlier and I'd like to touch on it. You talked about, kind of loving yourself or that self-care. The key thing is, they always say, you can't love someone else unless you truly love yourself, right? I actually don't think you can know someone else unless you truly know yourself. And you will know other people. You'll be aware, you'll be able to reflect, and you'll be able to connect with people better if you've got all those things for yourself, that you love yourself, you know yourself. And, it's funny, interesting, I remember growing up and you still see it now where people will go, oh God, that guy loves himself, right? Now, okay, he might have some confidence and everything like that, but it's not bad to love yourself, right? Like that guy loves himself. So we all go, oh, well, I better not be confident and I better not be all these things because I'm going to be, put in that same picture or branded by that same brush that I love myself. But far out, anyone listening to this, yourself, Andrew, love yourself, right? And I know that it was hard because over the years and in recent years going through and really kind of spending time on me, finding out who I am, who I wanted to be, it's really hard because I couldn't really show up fully for other people because I couldn't actually at sometimes show up for myself. Yeah. So for me, now that I've shown up for myself, that I know more about myself, I've reflected, I've got more awareness, and I'm in tuned more with who I am, who I want to be, my passion, my purpose, the type of dad, husband, brother, son, human being I want to be. I can be there for others. And, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
It's cliche, and me and you definitely heard this a million times, but it's about putting the mask on first, isn't it, on a plane? It's going back to that whole scenario.
But that's hard, right? That's hard because for us, we want to serve. You want to help others before you help yourself.
Yeah.
I think one of the points I'd probably make as well, Andrew, is anyone that, starts and goes through this self-reflection, self-awareness, starts the journaling, going through some challenges and struggles. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be some tough times. And by being the version that you want to be, unlocking the version of the person that you were kind of born to be, you might lose some friends. You might upset some people because you're changing the perspective or you're changing the expectation of who you are. So everyone has an expectation on who we are. And, when we're born, our parents kind of mold us into don't do this, don't do that, do this, do that. We go through school, teachers, principals, educators are telling us, do this, do that. No, this is how you write. No, this is how you type. This is how you present. This is how you do all these different things, right? Then we go into workplaces or we're in sporting teams and we're instructed and we're kind of told how we should be, how we should play, how we should talk, how we should dance, whatever it is, right? And then we get into digital, the digital world and social media, and then we're seeing how we should be, right? And it's no wonder that many people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, up to 100, right? You know, sometimes I'm sitting there going, who am I? Right?
Yeah.
You know, as you know, you'd know as well, most people are really, and I'm finding from the conversations I'm having, from the clients that I work with the people I connect with at men's retreats, that kind of 35 to 55 is really that part where men and women really, but you know, obviously I know more from a male perspective, are really struggling to who am I? What is my purpose? I've actually, you know, and I spoke to a lawyer one day and I said, you know, what's wrong? You know, and he said, oh, well, I was a lawyer, but he said I was really only a lawyer because my dad wanted me to be a lawyer,
Yeah.
right? And he was in his late 30s and he's like, I don't want to be a lawyer, right? But what do I do now? Because I've just invested all this time in university and in upskilling myself. I've built this profession. I've built this practice. What do I do now?
Yeah.
Right? And he'd actually attached his identity. He'd also attached his ego and a number of other things to being a lawyer. But, you know, I think, and one of the key things that I had to unpack is that for many years, I was a real estate agent. I was a business owner. I was a principal, you know, someone in the community. I'd attached my identity to all these different roles, but that wasn't who I was.
Yeah.
But that's something that I had to really pull myself away and kind of go, actually, my identity is not as a real estate agent. You know, it's not as, you know, a community leader or whatever it is. And I had to really unpack, who am I? Who do I want to be? What am I drawn to? And these days now, you know, I say yes to the things that I want to. And if it's a hell no, I don't touch it.
Yeah, me too, man. I've definitely come to that point. I used to not sleep worried that I'd fallen, that I'd upset somebody, or I didn't do something because they wanted to do it. I was affecting myself personally, and I've definitely learned over the last few years to put those boundaries up. You mentioned about friends before. You know, I got, during my journey of being bullied in the workplace, I was being told to man up. You're just not getting along with these people. No, I'm okay with sometimes we're not getting along with people, but to the depths that they're going to destroy me personally, because I was doing well and I was confident, I was outgoing, I wanted to connect, I had the ability to connect. It was like
Tall
you were
poppy
bringing
syndrome.
Sorry?
The tall poppy syndrome.
Well, in my book, my story, get that in chapter 1, my bit, I collected about 40 people's bullying journeys. Mine is called Tall Poppy. I'd never heard that term. It was bizarre. I don't know if it's an Australian culture. I don't know. I don't mean to be offensive to all the Australians out there, but I'd never experienced anything like that in the UK. I won the National Teacher of the Year award, which is my trophy just down here. And I'm now starting to embrace it again because I put it away. I didn't want to see the damn thing because the amount of hurt that it gave to me. Now, I don't know if that was the root cause. Everyone keeps telling me it's probably they were jealous or they didn't like you because of that. There were so many points you brought up there that we could definitely touch on. I think one of them, yeah, going back to it, I feel like recently I've lost a lot of friends and family. They're probably going to listen to it, but I'm being vulnerable now. I don't know if you've experienced it with the podcast, but you know, I've got people in who are close to me who've never even mentioned the podcast to me. And I left teaching to write the book and to do this, and I can always sense it, you know, when are you going to go back to work? I work every day and I'm happy. Yeah, I might be on less money than I used to be, but I'm goddamn happy. I'm not letting the Department of Education pay me 130, 140 what I would be on if I go back to work full time at a school. I don't want the chronic stress. I don't want to be ticking boxes for everybody else, for the department. Yeah, I want to teach the kids, but I'm coming away from that because I want to prevent brain health decline. That's really, really the top thing what I want to do. But I've been told to, going back to it though, I keep going off because you've just mentioned so many points there, but I got told to man up by people who are close to me. No one's mentioned the podcast. They've not even asked about it. I don't need anyone to tune in. I don't need them to listen to it, but I need them. I think I for my own self would be, I don't know, just ask about the journey. Like, as long as you're enjoying it, that's all that matters. Yeah, I think that would mean the world to me. You know, they don't even like say.
You just got to find your tribe. That's
Yeah.
the whole thing is people will be drawn, like a lot of the time if we go and do anything with expectation, we set ourselves up to fail.
Absolutely.
If we do something nice for someone, if we give someone something or do something for them, and we expect a thank you, we expect gratitude, we expect a certain, I suppose, certain reaction, or something to be reciprocated. I actually don't think that that's genuine.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, people say to me, "Oh, Steve, I did this and they didn't do it back."
Yeah.
Did you only do it to get it? Well, not. And look, all of us like recognition and we always like a thank you and everything like that. But the real authenticity and the real, I suppose, genuine nature of what we do, the intention has to be that you do it and something may not come back. You're doing it to help someone else. You're doing it to impact someone else. And, all of us have the power to make someone's day.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And with that in mind, I changed my mindset around, well, I'm not doing this to prove anybody else wrong. I'm doing it to prove myself right, and the power within myself and of why I'm doing it. There was other points that you brought up that I wanted to touch on, and I'm sure it'll come back to me. But going back to your brain fog and let's go to the root cause quickly around that. What now through self-reflection and self-awareness, why do you think why did that come about? What made you go down that mental state, do you think? Was it burnout from work? Was you overloading yourself? Was it things you're putting in your body? What was it?
I think I was trying to, I had the wheel of life, but I was trying to do too many things, right? I've been very much a people pleaser in my life. And it's interesting. I interviewed a lady called Ruth Limpkin, and she was the founding. She is still the CEO, but she was the founding CEO of Banyan's Wellness, which is a rehabilitation retreat, and they focus on kind of helping people that are going through addiction or mental struggles. And she's a phenomenal person. But I was listening to a podcast with her, and she said, what did she say? I'm a recovering perfectionist. Now, one of the key things when I started doing some life coaching and, dealing with a psychologist and everything like that was, I've always been a bit of a perfectionist. And for me, if I came home from work, 7, 8 o'clock at night, I would, kind of have some dinner, or I would see the kids, see the family. And then if I still had work to do, I couldn't go to sleep unless that was done, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd be up for my 5 a.m. running club. And, because you've obviously got to focus on your health and your fitness and those kind of things. And everyone's like, at that time it was like, if you're not part of the 5 a.m. club, you're not successful, right? And some of these themes that started creeping through, especially through the real estate industry, but also life, and they have changed a little bit. You still see it, but it's not as much out there. Is this hustle and grind? You can sleep when you're dead. All these different things, right? And it makes me laugh now, right? But a lot of the time for me, I wanted to make sure I didn't let anyone down, and that was really hard when I did hit that burnout and I did hit that brain fog, and I would miss appointments and those kind of things. But for many years, I would just focus on, doing absolutely the best that I could. And, the real estate industry, anyone listening that knows the real estate industry, works in the real estate industry and is a business owner, is that one of the key things is you can't please everyone, right?
Yeah.
Life is, you can't please everyone, right? And I would do things and I would go over and above, right? Anyone that listed and sold their home through me, bought a property from me, in most parts, people would have understood that I went above and beyond and I would do things. But, you wear a bit of a punching bag, and sometimes I would do things that, would be above and beyond. I would invest my own money into getting a property cleaned because the owner hadn't cleaned it so that the buyer came in. But then, then you'd get an email from the owner saying, "Oh, just disputing the commission," or something like that. And I'd go, and that's the kind of thing it really got to me, because I could do absolutely everything. I could mow people's lawns. I could do all these different things to, not because I wanted a thank you or recognition, but I wanted the sale or I wanted the process to go as smoothly as it could. And then people still wouldn't be happy. And that was a really big impact on me. As much as I worked as hard as I could, you would still get that rejection. You would still get that, the kick in the teeth, the kick in the guts. Even, if you put your absolute blood, sweat and tears, heart and soul into something, and that hurt me. That did hurt me.
Yeah, it's you just can't please everybody, and I suppose it's being secure with yourself, knowing that you've done as much as you possibly could for that person, and everything else just has to.
Yeah, and that's my mindset now. A lot of the time now is, as you'd know, being a podcast host as well. People would say to me, "Oh, you really care about what people think, right?" And now, as you go through, and I don't know if you've had it, but it was interesting. I was interviewing someone at the start of last year, and I said, "Oh, I really haven't had any trolls. I haven't really had anyone that's kind of given me a bit of a stick online, or giving me some feedback or whatever it is." And anyway, I didn't touch wood, did I? I messaged him about 3 days later when I've had my first 2 trolls in the last 2 days. So I'd kind of, power of attraction, right? So I'd put that out there into the universe, and the universe came back and smacked me in the face.
You're going to get even more now you've said it on this one.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Bring it on. At the end of the day, we're all human. If you've got something to complain about or give me feedback, I'm far better at that now. And I sit there and I go, and I think this gets back to the mental health perspective as well, is that, you never know what anyone else is going through. So sometimes, and if I get an odd message or I'll get a comment on a video or something like that, I just sit there and I go, okay, cool. We've all got the right to our opinion. And sometimes I can actually feel the hurt, or I can feel the pain that someone has put into a message. And, sometimes I'll just say, hey, look, thanks for your point of view. If there's anything I can ever help out with, just let me know. Right now, most of the time they don't come back and say, yeah, okay, I'm going through a tough spot, because they're on their own journey, and it's not for me to detour them or kind of pull them out of their journey, because we've all got to go through our journey. It's just that, the message that I give out there on the podcast, the message I give out there as a mental health first aider is that there is support there. That when you are ready to hear the message, they say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.